What's up, everybody? This is John with Archer Film. One of my favorite franchises of all time, the Alien series, has a new one coming out soon called Alien Romulus. It actually looks really good. It's directed by Fede Alvarez, who burst on the scene with the Evil Dead remake in 2013, which I really enjoyed. It was really fun and gory and messed up with some cool performances and some fun imagery. I usually hate remakes, but actually that one was really entertaining, and I had a blast. He also did Don't Breathe, which was okay, had a really cool messed up ending and some fun imagery as well. So I'm really excited for this. He has a certain tone that I think I can get behind. There's a visceralness to the way he does things, a darkness, which I really dig. So I cannot wait to see Alien Romulus. Now, as far as all the other Aliens go, Alien 1 is, of course, a masterpiece. The Ridley Scott, 1979, I want to say, came out. It is fantastic. I've seen it probably a dozen times. It is one of the greatest horror films of all time. I know it's kind of horror sci-fi, but it is technically a horror film, and it is still the best in the series. It's just so dark, so bleak. The performances are incredible. Introducing the world to Sigourney Weaver, who became iconic for that role. She is the one of the original Final Girls. It's just, gives such a great performance. You got Tom Skerritt, who kills it as Dallas, and the film is populated by great actors. Yaphet Kotto. These actors look like adults. They look like truckers. They look like they work in space. That was the whole sort of point. And they're fantastic. It is such a great cast, such a great movie. Alien 1 is a masterpiece. Next, we have Aliens, the follow-up by James Cameron. Now, the imagery and the theme in the first one, it was very rapey. You have the alien itself inserting itself into people. It's bursting out. There's a sort of rape feel to it at the end with the alien's tail around Sigourney Weaver's bare legs. There's a very intrusiveness to the imagery. Well, in the sequel, James Cameron shifts the imagery and the theme to, instead of rape, to more motherhood. You have Newt, who is Sigourney Weaver's sort of surrogate child. You have Newt has her little Dolly, who's her surrogate child. And, of course, you have the queen bitch alien, who has all of her eggs. She's obviously the mother to all of them. There's a strong motherhood theme in Aliens, and the action is out of this world. Multiple aliens, obviously. This time they're up against Marines. Some of the best performances, iconic lines, obviously, from the late, great Bill Paxton, and just some really thrilling moments, some really intense scenes. Has one of the best endings of all time, of course. Lance Hendrickson as Bishop. That whole ending on the platform is fantastic. So Aliens, again, it is vastly entertaining. I can watch that every single year and never get bored. It is a testament to James Cameron and what he can do with storytelling. So Aliens was followed up by Alien 3. Now this one's a little bit more mixed. People really don't like it. It gets, negative flack, but I actually really dig it. It's David Fincher. And I really liked it. I thought it was dark and depressing. It goes back to one alien. This time, Ripley is on this, she crash landed onto this prison planet. And of course, Newt and Michael Baine's character from the previous movie are both dead. So he starts it off very bleak, and it doesn't get much better. It's a prison planet full of murders and rapists, including Charles S. Dutton and Charles Dance, Tywin Lannister of Game of Thrones. And they give great performances. And I just think it's a fun sort of dark entry into the series with a kind of fucked up ending. The ending is great. I loved it. I love what Fincher did with it. I love his bleakness. And then, of course, we have Alien 4. Now, for me personally, Alien 4, I really enjoyed it, and I was really looking forward to it, mostly because it was directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, one of my favorite directors at the time when this came out. Now, he is famous for City of Lost Children, of course, Delicatessen. If you've not seen those, check them out. And, of course, maybe the movie that everyone has seen, which was years after Alien 4, was Amelie, of course, the Oscar-winning film. He eventually went and did A Very Long Engagement, which was a very long, boring movie. But obviously, Amelie is a masterpiece. So it was cool. It had this sort of steampunk feel to it, a lot of humor. The cast was, I think, chosen for their great looks, but also their sense of humor. Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder is in it, Brad Dourif, and of course, Sigourney Weaver comes back. And I just thought there were some really cool moments. I think the problem was the tone of it. Now, Jean-Pierre Jeunet is really good at sort of balancing humor and serious stuff, in his films. But I felt maybe because it was English language, there was something a little bit off. Because that's the only thing that I really felt was a little off was the tone. I think it's very entertaining. It has a really messed up sort of ending with the hybrid alien at the end. So it's kind of cool and kind of messed up. But I dug it. It's just a fun sort of movie. Maybe the least interesting in the original four. I'm not going to count the last two because those are awful. But we may as well get into them. Of course, Prometheus. Now, in my opinion, Damon Lindelof is an awful, awful, awful writer. Anywhere from Lost to the Watchmen series to these movies, I just feel like he's just not great. He just doesn't know what he's doing. It's just his stuff is very flawed. Again, Prometheus, some great visuals, some interesting, stuff going on, but the characters make stupid mistakes time and time again. And the whole David thing and the engineers and all that stuff, it's just too obscure and too, dancing around any sort of logical reason. I mean, it's just too, Damon Lindelof has this way, like with Lost, where he paints a picture that's very vague and expects you to figure it out, even though when your brain goes to all the logical conclusions, there's no answer for it. And that's his sort of clever way of we can never know the truth. But that's dumb, and that's not how you tell a great story. That movie was followed up by Alien Covenant, a little bit more entertaining. I like Danny McBride in it, but Watterson is probably the most boring, low charisma actress I've ever seen in my life, and makes it she just kind of kills the movie. At least in Prometheus, you have Noomi Rapace, as Elizabeth Shaw, who is a really good actress, I think, and you want to watch her. In Alien Covenant, Watterson is just very boring. And the movie itself, it's okay. There's some cool imagery. When the alien jumps on top of the ship at the end when they're fighting, it's kind of fun. But again, the engineer stuff and the David and what's his partner, Walter, whatever it is, playing the flute together. It's just what are you doing, man? What kind of scene is this? It was all over the place and just, again, kind of sloppy. So here we are. I'm not going to talk about the Alien versus Predator stuff because those are just insignificant to me. So here we have Romulus. It looks great, starring Kaylee Spaney, who is just on fire these days. She was in Civil War. She gives a great performance. She was in Priscilla, playing Priscilla Presley. I thought she was outstanding, and she's definitely the next big star to watch because she's really good and she has a great look. Actually, I can't wait for this movie. I really like sci-fi in general, and I love horror, and a sci-fi horror with this kind of pedigree just looks like it may be really good. So I got a lot of hope for this one. I'll get back to you after I see it. All right, thanks for listening, everybody. I'll see you in the next video.